This is obvious. Its supporting leg is on the right side, so its left side wobbles a lot. That's the relationship between them. Next, I'll guide it through a simple exercise called the cow-cat pose. As I mentioned when talking to you about breathing, I tried to choose movements you're most familiar with, the ones you do every day, but you might not know they have this effect. So there's a saying, where you fall is where you get back up. Coincidentally, she's a yoga instructor, and this is a yoga pose. You haven't looked at her spine yet. Don't do this just yet. Let me first check your joint mobility in front of everyone. Face everyone and stand here, okay? Stand sideways and tilt your head back so I can see. That's a really good angle. Now, I'd like you to slowly raise both of your hands high above your head. Yes, that's also very good. Now, arch your back and extend your spine backward. Not just tilting your head, your whole body. This part doesn't work as well. Because the right side at the back is bulging out, remember? When I lean back, all the spaces between the ribs and the back should close completely for me to bend backward, right? But since it's bulging out and can't close, it gets stuck. Okay, return to your position. Now face everyone and rotate your chest to the right. If you rotate the bones separately, that won't work either. Remember, when doing the rotation, the front right side needs to open up and the back needs to close. Since the back is bulging out and can't close, it gets stuck in that position. So generally, people with a hump on the right back can't extend backward. Then rotating to the right doesn't work either, because the back can't close and the front can't open. Okay, put your hand down. Try placing your hand along the seam of your pants and do a right lateral bend of your torso. This movement is also restricted. Do you know why? Because it can't close here. The back is bulging out and can't close. Now try bending to the left. Doesn't that feel much better? Now, let me show you how to visually assess the degree of scoliosis. This way, when you go back, you can help screen children. Generally, the hump appears on the right side. People with a right-sided hump will have restricted movement in the back, limited right rotation, and limited right lateral bending. Are you following so far? So right rotation, right lateral bending, and backward extension will all be restricted in this situation. Try doing that Z-shape movement on the yoga mat and see how it feels. Okay, switch sides. Yes, that's fine. When he does it, both of his sitting bones can touch the mat, which means that his spine is less affected by the pelvis. If a person's pelvis has a greater influence on the upper body, then the difference in their pelvis will be more noticeable. All right, now I can guide you through some exercises. After we finish, we'll check these 3 directions again. Just do this movement for now. But I need to help you adjust this movement based on what you're doing now. I'll show you how to do it. Okay. Do you remember that for most people, their right hip joint is usually an adduction and internal rotation? So I want you to have your right leg upright like this. And isn't the left side of your rib cage open? That's right. So I want your front hand like this. This way, it's closed, right? And at this point, I want the left hand to pull on the outside of the right knee, and the outside of the right knee should resist against it. Isn't that abduction and external rotation? Why do we need to do abduction and external rotation? Because it's adducted and internally rotated. So when you resist on this side, the left side also closes and the right hip joint also moves into abduction and external rotation. Then at this point, after supporting himself with his hand, I need to check if his shoulders are uneven, one higher, one lower. Now after supporting himself like this, his center of gravity shifts to the right again, which isn't good because he can't get air into his left side. So after turning over, his body needs to lean to the left. That's how it should be under normal circumstances. The lateral bending of my thoracic spine is like this. I bend to the right and rotate to the left. That's what's normal. So when you see my supporting leg is on the right, isn't my thoracic spine, my torso, bending to the right and rotating to the left? That's how it should be. But right now, isn't it rotating to the right? So if after rotating to the right, it's still bending to the right, that's pathological. Under normal circumstances, I should be rotating to the right. Bending to the left, that's what's correct. So after rotating, the right shoulder must not be lower than the left shoulder. Do you understand? If the right shoulder is lower and the left shoulder is higher, that means it's rotating to the right and bending to the right, side bending to the right. Are you following? So it should be rotating to the right and bending to the left. In this situation, if it can't achieve that, what should I do? I have to give it some support. Why do I need to use this force? This force is like going downhill, and there's a counter force that pushes it to the opposite side, so you can't use a flat brick for support. You need to use a slanted support like this to push it. This way it will be pushed to the opposite side. So at this point, can you see that its right shoulder is higher and the left shoulder is lower? Can you see that? Good. So now how many forces are there in total? There's the external rotation force on the right side and then the opposing force from the left hand. This way, the left side of the rib cage is closed even more, and then with your right hand, gently apply a force to push back, shifting its center of gravity to the left. Good. Maintain this position and then perform C5 haba. Or when you do Shibu Hashi or Ha, try to hold it for a bit longer and then stay in this position for 2 minutes. That's right. Okay. So this involves all three planes, sagittal, coronal, and horizontal. If you feel uncomfortable like this, I'll adjust for you in a moment. I can do it for you like this. This way it feels more comfortable. Try to make your exhalation as long as possible when you ha. You won't be able to exhale properly like this. In a moment, I just did a breathing movement. Let me tell you, scoliosis is like this. He will keep guiding you with his hands, and when you exhale, you need to pull in the area that's sticking out, and when you inhale, you should try to fill the concave area with air. If your client has both scoliosis and a low diaphragm, then just have them come up. Don't give them too much of this kind of intervention. If you give them too much of this intervention, they'll start engaging the rectus abdominis and external oblique muscles, and they'll use even more muscles that are meant to maintain postural stability. They end up pulling in their abdomen, so in this situation, it puts pressure on their pelvic floor muscles. So, try to let them return to a natural state. The less intervention you give, the better. That's because they have many conflicting issues happening at once. Right now, I don't have time to help them lift the diaphragm. Ideally, you should first lift the diaphragm, then activate the internal oblique and transverse abdominis muscles, and only then have them do these movements. But I can't go back and redo all the previous steps every time I introduce a new movement. I just don't have the time. I just assume they've done the previous steps. And now I have them do this. However many seconds they can hold it, that's fine. Just hold it for as many seconds as you can. I used to always think that if I had more time, I would teach some Pilates and yoga routines that are more suitable for modern members and people who sit for long periods. I would adapt your current movements to make them more appropriate for modern lifestyles. But right now, I don't have time to do this. So this is also quite meaningful because there are too many Pilates and yoga classes nowadays, but the instructors often don't really understand which movements are suitable for which people. So they pick some movements from a bunch of options that seem suitable but actually aren't. For example, with this movement, if you practice it in the opposite direction, it can actually cause harm. Practicing it the wrong way will only make scoliosis worse. Do you understand what I mean? He can only do this side. At this stage, it's enough for him to just do this side. All right, get up. Come, let's take a look. Do you still remember which functions he was limited in? Extension, right rotation, and right lateral flexion. Now, try doing a right rotation, okay? Is there any improvement? Yes? Good. Now try a right lateral flexion. All right, good. Now stand sideways and try an extension. Not tilting your head back, but leaning your whole body backward. Keep your feet planted and lean your body back. It's not adducting the scapula, not like this, not arching like this. I get stuck if I do that. When you lean back, keep your feet planted and then lean your body backward. That's the right way. Yes, there is some improvement, but not as much as with the other two movements. I'm mainly checking the curvature at the back. Turn your back to everyone. Do you still remember what it was just now? It was around 7 point something and the previous one was 8 point something. Look. Look. This is the highest point, right? Now it's 5.3. That's it. The changes you see with the naked eye are just like this. As long as you understand the underlying logic, many of the world's seemingly difficult problems are sometimes reversible. But for this, I just opened it up at the top, but whether it can be maintained or not, it can't because the abdominal pressure on the left side hasn't been established yet, and the support from the left leg hasn't been established either, so it can't be maintained. So don't get too caught up in the changes you see right after you finish once, because this is just helping it return to its proper position. I said this is just the beginning of rehabilitation, but for the vast majority of people, after taking a photo and posting it on their social media, that's the end of it. Just from the effect of one training session, showing off about that is meaningless because that's way too simple. That's just the start. There are still many, many things you need to do afterwards. Next, I need to gradually help it build support with the left leg and stabilize it. Why exactly can't the left side hold up? Is it because the glutes are weak, or the foot is weak, or the core is weak? I don't know either, since I haven't trained with them yet. So only after training all those areas well can it possibly become stable here. Otherwise, it turns into a situation where every time they come to you for training, you just have them do this exercise, then they go home, do it, and come back again when something goes wrong. They can't maintain it and will keep repeating this cycle. Now, let me remind you again, there are some key points to pay attention to when doing this movement. So when you come back, make sure not to repeat the same mistakes. The most important thing not to get wrong when doing this is to keep the toes on the turning side low. The most critical mistake is this: if you're turning to the right, the right shoulder must be higher and the left shoulder lower. If after turning your right shoulder is lower like this, there won't be any improvement from your training, and you might actually be training the spine into a pathological state. So the correct way is for the shoulder on the turning side to be higher. That's the only way it works. Also, your left hand and right leg must create some resistance against each other, because only with this resistance can the left side close, generate abdominal pressure, and allow the right hip to rotate. Only then can you achieve external rotation. On this basis, just insert the breath and exhale it out. That's enough. There's no need to deliberately remind yourself to close off or push in the protruding areas. Open up the areas that are sunken in and don't interfere too much. Just let it breathe naturally. Because the diaphragm is still below, you can't let the abdominal muscles contract too deliberately. If they contract intentionally, the pelvic floor muscles will drop and the diaphragm will go even lower. All right, I think I've made myself clear. Now it's up to you. If your skill level is high, you can feel which side is higher or lower. If you can't tell, then assess function by checking extension and same side lateral flexion. Rotate to the same side, then remember this angle. After noting this angle, help them practice for 2 minutes and you'll be able to see the change.